Hello, I'm Dr. Jeanette Raymond, psychologist, psychotherapist, and relationship expert, here to talk about the essentials of couple communication that make all the difference in the relationship. Today I'm going to talk to you about the importance of looking at each other when you are interacting and what's going on inside each of you when you're looking at each other or when you're not. So I'm going to start off with an example that you're probably all familiar with. You're trying to talk to your partner, they look away, they look down, they get busy. You don't know if they are hearing you, if they want to talk to you, if they're blocking you, if they could care less. And it makes you angry. It makes you anxious. It makes you want to just either give up altogether or try and force your message through. But whatever it is, it causes tension and it creates barriers between the two of you that prevent you from understanding one another, from comforting each other, from planning how to be with one another, and from taking care of each other in places where you hurt. So let's start with the importance of looking at each other. What does that involve? Well, first of all, it's actually making eye contact, because the eyes, it really is, as the saying goes, the window of your soul. If you're looking at each other and you're able to hold each other's gaze, it means that you're telling your partner you feel safe enough to hear their message, to let it go in, that it's not threatening, that you're interested, that you really do want to know what's going on, and that you're going to take it in, you're going to process it, you're going to have a reaction to it, you're going to collaborate with that information so that you can begin to have an exchange. But eye contact is the one of the most important parts. There are many others, because you can't hold your gaze forever. So there's so many other things that are involved in looking at each other, and it's about your body language. So imagine that each of you are mirrors, and it's the expression of your body and how it looks to the other person that tells them if you are truly looking at them with your body. So for example, if you're turned away, if your shoulders are turned away, that's a sign that you're not really interested, or that you're frightened that they're going to say something you don't like. Putting your head down may make your partner feel, or showing them that they're feeling scolded, or they're ashamed or embarrassed and they can't look at you and they have to hide their head down in shame, or that they're just not wanting to take your message in. They're kind of trying to withdraw into themselves. Other ways in which you look at each other with your body is what you do with your legs. So I often have couples in my therapy office where their legs are kind of crossed over, but they're meeting each other on the floor level. Their knees are about this much apart. So that part of their body is saying, I feel safe enough to let our bodies be this close to each other, but their upper bodies are as far apart as you can get. So I had a couple in my office recently where the guy put his hands behind his back and he was leaning back as far away from his wife as he possibly could, but his legs were in a place where her legs were. So he was saying, I can tolerate you a little bit, but not a lot. And his face would be looking up at the ceiling. It wasn't looking at her. He was in another world, but his legs were saying, but some part of me is still being in the couple relationship. But she was kind of alone in that place, trying to communicate with him because they couldn't see each other's faces, and she didn't know if he was listening. He was fed up, he was angry, he was just kind of waiting till she finished and then have his blowout or whatever. So that was a really important aspect of what I showed them in learning how to look at each other through their body. Another thing that happened with this couple was that the wife would make the tiniest little facial expressions that he wasn't aware of. She would go suck one of her cheeks in like this, when she was anxious, and she was kind of biting her lips and things so that she wouldn't say anything, because she was trying to be a good listener, and she felt that she had to stuff all her feelings and not say anything. But I saw the sucking in of the cheeks right away, and I stopped and I said, maybe you're feeling anxious or angry or upset. And then she was able to share with her partner, and he actually heard it because he didn't see that. And I'm helping him now to watch for her body signs, and the same with him. He was not looking at her with his body because he was in that laid back position somewhere in another world, thinking things that were not to do with what they were talking about. So let's move to the wife now. I told you about her sucking in of her cheeks. What she was also doing was looking down at her hands and playing with some tissues. There was she'd been crying a little bit, and she kept playing with the tissues and putting her head down, and there were these long sighs, and I knew that as soon as she did that, she was holding in her anger and her resentment at him for saying what he was saying, because it didn't represent her feelings accurately, and she didn't want to stop his flow. But without him knowing that, he was causing her to get more and more anxious, more and more angry, and then there was no room for his utterances. She had no more room to listen to him. So then he got angry because he felt that his efforts were not being acknowledged or heard, so why bother? And she was feeling like, he has all the air in the room, I don't have any, I've just got to go like this and, stop myself and constrain myself. And so then when I invited her to speak, she doesn't respond to him. She comes from a place of feeling angry and resentful and bitter, and brings up all the things in the past, all through one sigh at the precise moment he started to speak about something to do with his experience of her. So I was able to help them look at each other through their body signals. Head movements, eye movements, shoulder movements, leg positions, sighing, sucking in of cheeks, twisting of hands, laid back position. There's so many ways in which we look at each other with our bodies. But unless you're aware of it and address it in the moment, whatever you say might go in here and one out the other, if it goes in at all, or else there's no room for it. So nobody's being heard, nobody's feeling felt, nobody feels understood, and there's a total lack of communication. So remember, looking at each other in communication is not just about eye contact, although that's vital. It's about looking at each other through your head movements, shoulder movements, arm movements, leg movements, twisting, shifting around, being laid back, the distance between you, whether you're engaged with the other person or not, your breathing. That's a way of looking and telling. So do take these points into consideration next time you're talking to your partner, and learn so much more about whether your partner's receptive or not, whether you need to pause, let them have an anxious moment, see what they think you're going to say, alleviate their fears, keep some room for the fact that they might not be hearing you accurately because they're in another place, and you're not looking at them accurately, so you don't know how they're reacting. So receptivity can only be seen and acted on if you look at each other through your bodily signal. So please let me know your reactions, what you've learned, what you notice from your partner, what's frustrating. I'll do my best to answer your questions if you have any, or address your comments. And then very soon I'll be sharing part 2 of essentials in couple communication. Bye for now.